Morning everyone. We're going to have a look at the desktop publishing quiz number 1 that I issued out at the beginning of the week. I've had a few responses back in, so thanks for those that have submitted, and if you haven't done so, please try and get it done before the end of today. But just to give you some feedback, because I think that the way that I've set the quiz up, if you gave the wrong answer, it should have come back and told you what the correct one was and also given you an explanation, but that doesn't seem to have happened. So what we'll do now is just go through the quiz, tell you what the correct answer was, and try and explain why maybe the other answer was incorrect. First one was, colours are the best way to create contrast. Colours are certainly one way to create contrast in a document, but they're not always the best way. They're a very common way. And certainly what we've done in the past is when we've asked you to find contrast in a document, a lot of the times you'll come back and you'll say that colour was the way that it's been done. And that's fine. But there are lots of other ways, one of them being perhaps the use of straight lines and curved lines, large graphics or small graphics, or even changing typeface halfway through the document. Remember that contrast is anything which catches our eye, anything that's a little bit unusual and causes us to look at one particular part of the document. Colours are one way of doing that, but they're not always the best way. So in this case, the answer to question 1 was no, they're not the best way. They are simply one way of doing it. The second one was rule of thirds. If you've got an interest in photography or art, then this one should be fairly straightforward, but if you didn't, all that rule of thirds means is that we split the page up into almost a noughts and crosses. We put a grid on it, and what we do is we set the main figure or the main point of interest slightly off centre. Just to show you what that means, here's a little example, and we can see that the dog, instead of being directly in the centre of the image, has been put off onto one of these crossing points, or what are called impact points. And by moving the image there, it just makes the overall effect a little bit more dynamic and a little bit more interesting. And once again, we could say it gives a bit of contrast. So that is rule of thirds. Down here we have an image, and I was asking you to find which principle best suits it. Please remember that when you're looking at these, they are never simply one principle. There are always other principles that you can find in there. But what I was trying to get you to spot was that in this case, it's a clear example of white space. That's because there is no extra text or no extra images around about the man's head. Any additional text is actually kept within the image itself, so it's left with this empty space. The only thing that's there is the main image and the title of the piece. So yes, there are other things like symmetry, perhaps there's a bit of bleed going on, but the one I was looking for was white space in this case. Next one was well answered by everyone. No one who submitted an answer yet has got this one wrong. So reverse simply means that on one part of the page you switch the colour of the text in the background around, you reverse them, and once again that creates a bit of emphasis and we have contrast once again. So well done to everyone with that, full marks to everyone so far. Second last question was trying to find which ones were symmetrical and which ones were asymmetrical. These three here, Gump Soul Power, Marketing and Fuse Tea, are all quite clearly symmetrical. They're balanced from one side to the other, not quite mirror images, but they're certainly balanced. And what we've got on this side is something which is clearly not balanced, so it's asymmetrical. The final one, where has unity been created? A lot of the times we say to you, if you spot a repetition going on, then that's unity. And yes, that is the case. But here we've only got repetition happening here to here. It's only happening on that single repetitive occasion. What I was trying to get you to find here was this closely wrapped text. When the text is closely wrapped with an image, it is united with it, it's close to it, it's united, and therefore it's unity. So in this case, anytime you see closely wrapped text with an image, then we're seeing unity. But obviously there are other things going on in this too. We've got a bit of bleed going off, and we've got repetition of colour on the athlete's clothing, but it's not unity.